welcome to Lodge Farm, to the Strategic Farm East Open Day for our cereals farm over in East Anglia. Fantastic to see you all here. It's going to be a brilliant day. You've all had rain overnight, so you've all got a smile on your face and you've all come to see something a bit different. So really pleased to welcome you here, delighted that you're a part of the day and to see all the hard work that's gone on the farm over the last couple of years. Today is all about sharing the research work, sharing the trials that we've been doing, the demonstrations, sharing kind of the story as we go along the process. This is a 6-year programme. We're into this end of the second year now. The first year was baselining, and there's so much going on. It's kind of taking you on that journey, sharing where we are, and giving you some ideas to take home back to the farm. I think I'm going to start with saying that today and the Strategic Farm is a huge team effort right from the beginning, and a big thanks to Brian, to Nick and to John, to the Barker family, to Emily and the team that kind of sit behind it, to all of our contractors we work with, because there's a huge amount of work that goes into doing this, particularly with Nick, when we give him all sorts of kind of things to go and spray in his sprayer. So a huge thank you to Brian and the team, and you'll see the results of all of that as we go round today. So I know most of you, for those of you that I might not know, my name's Teresa Meadows and I cover East Anglia and the Ceres and Oilseeds team, run the Strategic Farm programme, the Monitor Farms and the Arable business groups alongside everything else. If there's things that you want from AHDB that you can't find, if there's things that we're not doing that you think we should be doing, please tell me. That's what I'm here for, and I want to make sure that you get the most out of the levy that you're paying into. So, before we start, hopefully you've all had a tea and a coffee and a biscuit ready and raring to go. Hopefully you've all ticked your name off on the list. If you could please tick your name off on the attendance list so that I know you're here. And there's also basis and Naroso points there as well. Feel free to sign in. If for some reason you don't think you've got an email inviting you to today, please also let me know. We're just making sure all of our systems are working back at HQ. So if you haven't got an email directly, or you're not getting AHDB emails for some reason, let me know and I can make sure that you're on the list. Toilets are in the block across the way. No fire, anything hopefully planned for today, but if there is, we'll congregate out on the other side. There are going to be photos and videos and things going on today. If you don't want to be part of that, please let us know, but actually we want to share what's going on in a much wider way, and so that will be going on today. Phone's on silent, but as we always say, please do kind of share what we're doing, share what you're seeing. AHDB through our kind of networks, share what we're doing. The Barker boys are famous, I'm sure you're all following them already. # Strategic Farm for what we're doing. The other thing just to say is important, we're obviously on a working farm. We're going to be going out on tractors and trailers later. Please do take care with everything you do in terms of health and safety. Please make sure you're sat down on the tractors and trailers when they're moving. The guys are all well briefed, but please, you all know the drill, please do it. So the agenda for today, I'm going to hand over to Emily Pope in a minute. Emily is our research manager on the knowledge transfer side and is going to talk you through a bit of background to the strategic farms, to put it into perspective, give you a bit of an update on what's going on the strategic farm in the West. And then link into Brian Barker, who you all know is our host farmer for here at the Strategic Farm in the East. And Brian's going to talk you through where we've come from to get here today, and a bit of an update on what's been going on the farm to put the demonstrations you're going to see later into perspective. We're then all going to go on to the tractors and trailers here and into groups, and then you're going to go round and look with the researchers at what's going on the farm. So we've got 4 things for you to see today. Anne Bogle and Ian Skinner are going to talk you through the cover crops and water quality work that we're doing. Brian and Paul Gosling from AHDB and Ian Turner are going to talk you through the work that we've been doing on the varieties and fungicides, which is so relevant. Every single farmer meeting I seem to go to at the moment, or business groups or discussions, is all about how do I reduce the fungicides that I'm putting on and maximise my varieties and reduce my costs. Well, we're doing it here. You've got plenty to see and discuss at that point. Ian Robertson's then going to talk us through the starter fertiliser and early crop biomass, along with Richard Ling, trying to boost biomass in the autumn so we can get the yields that we want to. And then Patrick Barker and David Whiting are going to talk us through the work that's been going on the farm in terms of biodiversity and landscape thinking going forwards in terms of integrated pest management. We're then going to come back here for lunch. And then there is the option to go on a farm tour later today. Can I just have a quick show of hands of those of you that might potentially be interested in coming on the farm tour, just so we know for now. Okay, perfect. Lovely. Thank you very much. So you can either leave just after lunch, or on the farm tour we'll be back here for 3:30, 4:45. So that's the plan for today. One of the things that we've done to make this day something a bit different, and so that you might hear something out in the field and then you think, oh, I might be interested in doing that and want to take it further forward. So we've got a selection of exhibitors here today. They're all working with us in some way, shape or form, and they're all here to talk to you today. So we've got our AHDB publications at the back that are linked in. Again, let me know if there's something that you want that's not there. ADAS we work with in terms of the Yield Enhancement Network, and we're working with them in the field with the cover crop trials. They've got a stand. We've then worked with a number of organisations to do the baselining work. So ProData supplied the weather station, and we've got the weather station from them. SOYL and James is here, have done electrical conductivity scanning that's given us a background of what the soils are like, so we can base the trials on that. Omnia we're working with in terms of their online platform to put it all together. Kings and Oak Bank have given us the cover crop seed, and then we've got some other people that are involved in different ways. So Rothamsted Research have got their new Farm In project, and they're looking for farmers that have got innovative ideas they want to trial out, so do talk to Ian Shield. Agroecology are working on a different level, and as IPM becomes more important, we're working alongside them. So Olivia's here from Agroecology. Andrew Lovett from UEA has been working on the highly successful DTC programme, the demonstration test catch, that have done a huge amount of work that I'm sure you're all aware of on the Saul estate. Fantastic amount of data, fantastic amount of research, and it links in really nicely to what we're doing today. So again, catch up with Andrew. And then Leaf and Alexandra's here from Leaf, and we've done the Leaf Sustainable Farming Review as part of it. So a whole range of people for you to talk to. Please do take the opportunity. They'll all be here over lunch to come and talk to them and follow up. So just finally from me, there's a lot, as always, at these kind of events to take in and to think about. So I've put together a handout, a handbook for you today that runs through all of the trials, the background, the layout, the costings, so you can look at the cost-benefit analysis. We'll give it to you when you go out on the field. Hopefully it gives you the kind of background so you can go home and digest it in a different way when you get home. Staying up to date going forward, we've got the website, the Strategic Farm website. If you look at that, that's got more information on the background, the videos that we'll make all go on there and on Twitter. And then the other thing to say is we're going to have a results day in November. Today is kind of, this is what we've got, this is where it is, this is what we're doing on the ground. November will then be after harvest when we've got the results and can start to drill into some of the details. So I'll let you all know about that as and when we go through. So that's my introduction. I'll now hand over to Emily to talk you through the background.
Thank you, Teresa. Hi everybody. So, as Teresa said, I'm Emily Pope, and I'm the Knowledge Transfer Manager for AHDB Cereals and Oilseeds KE. What does that mean in English? Basically, I sit between the research teams and the regional knowledge exchange teams. So, my role is to take the research that AHDB have funded on behalf of you and see how we can apply that on farm. So, how we can demonstrate it, so you can see the cost benefit of the research that we're doing, but also how we can feed back if there are any gaps in the research that we're doing that you require to be able to implement changes to your business. So I was asked today to do a quick overview of the Strategic Farms and the Monter Farm programme, just to set that context within the wider network that Brian is working in. But just to introduce the concept of the strategic farm, I'm aware that some of you might have been at our previous meetings or had a look on our website, but the strategic farm is that link between research and practice. So it's a 6-year programme, as Teresa has mentioned, and it's the opportunity to take those research outputs, demonstrate them on farm in a farmer-friendly way. So they're not small plot trials, they could be tramline trials, split field trials or field trials. And we can really look at how that research stacks up on farm in a commercial system. So as I said, it sits within a much wider network of host farms. So in cereals and oilseeds, we currently have 28 monitor farms. So for those of you that haven't been to a Monter Farm meeting or come to Brian's previous Monter Farm meetings, that's a 3-year programme, very much focused on business development. It's farmer-led, farmer-driven, supported by a steering group. And we currently have 2 strategic farms for cereals and oilseeds. So again, it's a 6-year programme supported by a steering group, but as I said, much more about putting that research into practice. So there's more of a steer from the research outputs at a strategic farm. As Teresa's already mentioned, it fits within a network of other initiatives, and we're really pleased that some of those people have been able to join us today. Something that we encourage all of our monitor farmers to do is to enter the YEN, so the Yield Enhancement Network run by ADAS. And we're increasingly working with LEAF, as already mentioned. And then the 2 most recent initiatives that AHDB have started to work more closely with around the idea of on-farm trialling is with innovative farmers, and Rothamsted have recently launched their initiative, which is Farm In. So it's about bringing groups of farmers together very much like this, pairing them up with researchers to add statistical robustness to the work and the trials that we're doing on farm. So just to illustrate what we're doing here at Brian's, as I say, we might have a research project, and I think in the past it's fair to say that AHDB has done a very good job of writing up these research reports, but they quite often sit online, and they're not always the most accessible. So what we're doing is we're taking the outputs from that research, we're working with the researchers who have completed that research or are currently undertaking those programmes of work, and we're developing them into tramline trials at the strategic farm. One of the really nice things that we're then able to do is, because we've got our Monter Farm network, we can then further cascade that information, the protocols, the field layouts, the assessments that we're doing, down through to the Monter Farm network and see it played out in different locations across the country. I think one of the most important things to mention is that it's not just that one-way direction of traffic. It gives us the opportunity to have those feedback loops back into the strategic farm work and then back in to inform the research that we're doing, so that we're making sure it's really relevant to what you need on farm. So this is an example of how we've done that so far here at Brian's. So we have an AHDB funded research project called the Maxi Cover Crop Project, and ADAS are our lead partners on that. So that's an ongoing programme of work at the moment, and based on some of the baselining assessment that we conducted here at Brian's, we wanted to take forward a cover crop trial across 2 split fields to have a look at the effect on water quality, and we'll be hearing more about that today. So what we've done is we've taken the protocols that have been used in the Maxi Cover Crop Project, some of the same seed mixes, the assessments, and we've developed a protocol to run here at Brian's at the Strategic Farm East for the next 2 years. We then had 6 of our monitor farmers in the west and the southwest who expressed an interest in running some larger scale trials, so maybe just putting a field or 2 or 3 fields into different cover crop mixes. And what we've made sure we've done is to use the same protocol, the consistent seed mixes, the same assessments and measurements on those monitor farms as well. So it just adds robustness to the data. It's replicated over a number of sites, a number of seasons, and across different soil types. And as I say, we've got that opportunity then to feed back into the research and the outputs of that research. So it's really important that, as you know, and Teresa's already mentioned it, if there are any questions or things that you're not sure about in terms of the different trials that we're looking at today, that we capture that feedback and we can feed it back into not only the design of the work that we're doing here at Brian's, but into the bigger portfolio of research that AHDB funds. And that's something that myself and my colleague in the knowledge transfer team take a lead on. So we're based at Stoneleigh, but we feed that information directly back into our research managers so that they can include that in future calls for funding. And that really set the scene for when we had our launch meeting 2 years ago. That was the challenge that we set you for those of you that were able to join us at that meeting, because we asked, where does the industry need to be in 10 years' time? So it's a 6-year programme, and what we're trying to do is to enable you to develop your businesses and the productivity, the efficiency, the sustainability of those practices that you're doing on farm to get you to where we think and where you think you need to be in 10 years' time. So working with the steering group over the last 2 years, we've been developing the programme here at Brian's, taking on board directly that feedback that you gave us and continue to give us from that first meeting. So this is just an overview of the work that we're doing so far, and we've got a great lineup today of the trials for you to go and see and to learn more about. But as the network grows, and we started our strategic farm west a year ago, as the network grows, we're starting to see that there are links between the different sites, and that gives us the opportunity to look at similar or the same trials in different geographical parts of the country. So you can see that both host farms have got an interest in the genetic potential of varieties, and there's different trials going on at each of the farms to look at that. We're also looking at resource efficient farming, monitoring, predicting and managing yield, so working with the ADAS Yen initiative for that, and then looking at the rotation. Because it's a 6-year programme, we have the opportunity to monitor and measure, do repeat baselining assessments throughout the course of the programme to look at how, for example, cultivation practices are having an impact on soil health within the rotation. And I think one of the really interesting things, even in the past 2 years, is to have seen how the programme's developing and the direction in which the trials are going. And across both sites, and across probably all of the trials, it's fair to say that we're starting to go down this road of managed lower inputs, responding to what's happening in each field, in each season, at each spray timing, increasing the monitoring and the measuring that we're doing to be able to make better informed decisions about what actions to take. So I was asked to quickly do a highlights of the strategic farm in the west, because obviously you guys are all here today and you'll get an idea of what we've been getting up to here for the past 2 years. But it's interesting to have a look at some of those links to another site, because potentially there could be something that we could learn from another site that might not always think is directly relevant to the east, but it could be under future different scenarios, even in terms of weather. So as I said, it started in June 2018. We had our open day yesterday over at Leamington Spa. So a couple of us hot-footed it across the country last night to join me here today. But it was a great day again. We had great turnout, so it's fantastic to see so much interest. Again, in the first year, we did a similar process to what we did here at Brian's. We did a complete suite of baselining assessments, so looking at soil health, crop nutrition, crop growth, crop physiology, and obviously we'll take that through to yield this summer. In the first year, the steering group there put in some simple trials, so 5 trials, 5 different topics. Most of them are split field trials or field trials, and we have got a couple of replicated tramline trials as well. So one of the ones that we looked at yesterday, we had a fantastic soil pit in the field at Rob's, was looking at the effect of cultivation, depth, and the impact on crop rooting. So this is another really nice example of where there was a research project that was funded, and they reported that different varieties perform differently under different cultivation systems. So, for example, some varieties could be better or worse suited to minimum tillage, for example. So we've taken that from the research report, and we said, okay, well that's what you found in replicated small-scale plot trials. How does that work on farm, and what's the impact on cost of that? So this is one of our replicated tramline trials that we're working with ADAS on, and you can see that Rob's cultivated it to different depths across the field. And we're using there's a scorecard that's being developed to monitor soil health, again linked to another research project that we're funded, and this is work in progress, so it's a live project, it's currently going on, and we're using Rob's fields to test and demonstrate the work that we're doing in that project. So we're using the scorecard approach. It gives a really nice visual assessment of the soil in terms of the different parameters. You get a traffic light indication of the different parameters and different thresholds. And we're able to compare the trials like this, but also the fields in terms of the repeat baselining. I'm probably doing a really bad job of describing it because we've got Anne Bogle in the audience who was in the soil pit yesterday at Rob's, who's been leading on this work. So if you've got any specific questions, I'd probably direct you in that direction. So that's a quick overview of both of our strategic farms and how it fits into the wider network and how you can make the most of it and get involved. So next steps for the strategic cereal farm here at Bryan's in the east is to continue some of the work that we've been doing this year in terms of trials. Obviously, 1 year can be very specific to the growing conditions that we've had this year, so we want to repeat some of the trials that we've done, so we're gathering more data and making the conclusions more robust. So we're going to continue with some of those. And as I said before, the theme and the trajectory of both of the projects really is going along this line of manage lower inputs, and increasingly we're talking about integrated pest management being the future of what we do. So we're going to start looking at some alternatives to traditional chemistry. We're going to start looking at increased monitoring and how we can monitor and measure the impact of some of the practices that we're doing on natural enemies, for example. So there's 4 more years of the project, lots of things that we'll do, but as I said, feed in your ideas. If there's something specific that you want to see or want to see developed, then please do let us know. Are there any questions at this point before I hand over to Brian? Stunned silence. Okay, so